All right, obviously a different schedule this week, more walkthrough relative to what we're doing. Um, Today was base and third down. Tomorrow we'll get into the 2-minute short yardage goal line red zone work and then fly tomorrow night. Any questions?
Does it make it easier to get ready for a team that played the team you just played? So when you're watching one of their recent games, you can see how they attack things. And
Say that again.
the Jets and Chiefs just played 2 weeks ago. So that make
I think we're going into week 5, so we have a little bit more body of work on. Again, the cut-ups we're going to look at tonight, for instance, in the red area will be their prior games this season and all of last season. And periodically we'll go further back, like specifically for maybe something we're looking for. So I think, yeah, to answer your question, I don't know that it matters that they just played the Jets, but certainly we have that film and the Viking film and their prior games. And one of the things, I like to do is look at there's this data board in my office, and I'll just kind of look at, all right, all last season, who rushed the ball well, who converted. So we have all these plays, but sometimes you go right to that game and, what was it someone did specifically in an area, red zone, third down. It just depends. But it is a quick turnaround, and, we get ready to go.
2 parts, I guess. We didn't see Frank out either.
Yeah, he was sick, and so he had an illness. We'll see if he's ready tomorrow.
He obviously hasn't had huge production necessarily, but what has he brought to you so far?
Well, look, he's a physical player with experience. He's played in a lot of big spots. He's played in a lot of big games and had production. So those are the first things that I can think of.
The mental element when you're getting ready on a short week, can that sometimes help that you've got to hone in on those details and have these guys really?
Yeah, one thing to note, and we should do these studies, but if I gave you Sunday halftime lead win percentage, so the normal time slot games on Sunday, winning at the half, who wins the game, it's probably in the 60-some percentile. What's unusual is on Thursday nights, it spikes. So I just finished talking about fast start. It's important. Look, I asked the question, Patrick just answered it. I don't know how long they played Thursdays, but I think it goes back to 06, and then gradually it's expanded. So, get ready to go.
You said yesterday that the tackles could have played better. Those are obviously both.
Well, yeah, look, there was some protection where we had the guy, just a little penetration that reduced the pocket that, we'll clean up. It's an entirely different type defense this week. And I would say it's a much more pressure driven. Last week, there weren't a lot of pressures, and the ones that they gave, were ones you see consistently. And with Steve, you get multiple pressure looks, cover zero looks, fire zones. There's quite a bit to cover relative to your protection plan.
Sean, what's your relationship with Andy Reid like, and how much have you borrowed from him over the years, maybe?
I think it's good. We've done it a long time. Certainly, Andy's done it a long time. I had just gotten to the Giants when he was named head coach of the Eagles, and so for years we were in the same division, and then in Dallas, then even in New Orleans, we played. I think a handful of times playoff games. He's done a great job. I would consider him a good friend, and certainly a guy you study. He's a mentor to so many of us. His consistency in a league that's hard to have that kind of staying power. He's someone that you're always looking at and studying the film on, and then those are the things that come to mind. He's been fantastic and is in the middle of a fantastic career.
How do you slow Kelsey, and is it more a priority with them not looking like they have a true number one receiver this season so far?
Well, regardless of the receivers, and he's always been a little bit of the spaghetti sauce in what they do. And there's one of the things that you see with him is great football IQ. Sometimes they'll say, there's some improvising, and yet it's always with good instincts and clarity, and the quarterback and he are on the same page, and so they move him around a lot. You see him outside, inside, in the slot, in the backfield, taking shotgun snaps. But he's, aside from being a tremendous athlete, I see a real smart player when you watch his tape.
How complicated is fixing the run defense right now? What do you
Well,
think?
look, hopefully sooner than better. I mean, generally speaking, it's probably not as easy as you think, and yet it has to get better. Now, we're getting an entirely different running attack this week, predominantly shotgun. But that's something that it's one of the keys in this game. These guys have gotten better and better at running the football, and this Pacheco, and you just look at the Jet game and what he did against a good run front. That's a big challenge this weekend.
Coach, how close was
Go ahead, and I'll come back.
3 weeks to go until the trade deadline. What does the balance look like in terms of the time you spend with George, just evaluating the landscape and what could be out there?
Yeah, look, generally speaking, and I appreciate, it's a good question. George and I talk every day, 3-4 times a day. We're not looking to do business with any of our players. That doesn't prevent teams from calling at times, and so, we just, you pick the phone up, but that's kind of where it's at. And, we've got a good handle on this current roster, and then our vision for the roster a year from now. And that's the part about improving and getting better. But, until you just said it, I wouldn't have known it was 3 weeks away. I mean, 3 weeks seems like an eternity right now. So,
Coach, how close was Javonte to playing this past week, and did that change the plan?
he was close. I think we worked him out pregame, but I think the feeling, look, had that been a playoff game where we felt like we had to have him, I think that he could have gone, but with the risk of possibly having a setback, and we just felt like that was too much.
Sean, when you've got enough things to worry about at 1-4 and improving from those things, how much of a quick turnaround is about you, and how much of it is about Kansas City?
Great question. I think it's a lot about us, and I was encouraged. Yesterday guys are sore. We had everyone here lifting, running. The recovery stations were going. We were game planning, so it was a recovery Monday, and then today was a lot more mental. Tomorrow we'll pick it up a little bit, with the tempo, and then we travel. But I think so often in this league, it's inward, and when you're playing well, they become faceless opponents, and I mean that with respect to whoever you're playing. It's really about getting yourself and your team ready to play.
How quickly can Greg get back into playing, or do you just view bringing him back, starting his clock this week as he gets a day going?
Look, he's out here moving around. He's still out here, and so hopefully the sooner the better. He's been working his tail off, and I know they're going through a bunch of stuff now, explosive drills, making sure there's not a setback. But I think I don't want to guess relative to this week's game, but and he's close.
Sean, we were talking about Andy, and we're talking about run game, but he kind of looks at it a little bit differently over the years, right? Some of his run game is
If you watch,
how he passes for some of his run game.
Look, and
What is it about
his evolution,
how he goes about it?
I would say this, and I think it's a credit to him and any good coach. When he had Donovan McNabb, I can remember the offense, and then through the years as personnel have changed with him, there's always been an adaptation, and so the film and the call sheet you're looking at right now and his game plan list that they put together is entirely different than when he started in Philly, and it's over time. And I mentioned the shotgun and the percentages in the gun, what they do from it, and all the looks they give you. That's evolved, but it's always evolved around his personnel, and that's that's good teaching. It's good coaching. And so he's always, got unique ideas and thoughts, and he's put a great staff together. So look, it's a big challenge, and we look forward to it.
Mahomes is at modest numbers by his standards, but what do you see when you watch him on tape?
Oh, look, the same thing you guys see. When you look at what he does, and then you look at the sack totals at the end of the year and where they ranked, it's hard to get to him. Even with cage rushes, and he gets rid of the ball quickly. The other thing with Patrick, I think, when you watch the film, is he processes information like very fast. A guy will go in motion, he'll make a call, he'll alert someone, it's covers it. Some guys can multitask at a high level. He's one of those guys that you can just see it. And so those plays, even when you look at the Jet game and it's 3rd and long, and then all of a sudden it happened in the Super Bowl, he takes off. And I don't know what the next gen numbers are, but it's fast enough to get the first down. And those are challenging, because you're in, if you choose to go man, your eyes are away from the QB. If you're in zone, it's a tough offense to play in some zone coverage. So it's back and forth. There's so many things, arm strength, mobility, football IQ again. I bring that up because we put that with the talent he has, and you've got like a rare player.
Sean, I know you're asked about the 15-game losing streak yesterday and said you just need to win a game. But for guys like Justin Simmons in year 8 and has never beaten them, and Garrett Bowles has never beaten them, does it come up in some form or fashion?
It hasn't. Now you'd have to ask them, but and quite honestly, I don't know that we've had time to bring it up. I mean, we come in yesterday and you quickly get through the tape, the game you just played, and then it's 2:33 in the morning and you're finishing up 3rd down because you're doing 2 installs today. You're doing the 1st and 2nd down and 3rd down, and there's a lot that goes into the 3rd down plan with Steve. So that's it just hasn't come up. Thank you.